All right, our wild weather video begins in North Dakota, and the National Weather Service just upgraded the strength of a deadly June tornado in that state to an EF-5. That's the most powerful rating for tornadoes and the first in our country in 12 years. 3 people were killed when that twister tore through Enderlin, North Dakota. It was packing winds of more than 210 miles per hour. The strength rating was upgraded after an extensive review of the damage that tornado left behind. Rescuers are racing to reach hikers stranded on Mount Everest after a freak October snowstorm caught hundreds off guard. Teams with horses and oxen have been trekking their way through the deep snow, trying to reach a tourist camp on the slope. Now, Everest is in that Tibetan area. It's nearly 16,000 feet up in the mountains. The blizzard crushing tents and cutting off communication. Conditions had looked ideal, with climbers heading out in what is considered a stable stretch of the season.
This is the time when monsoons should have completely withdrawn, and then you expect clear skies, visitors going up, mountaineers even going up.
Chinese state media says hundreds of hikers have now been rescued, but hundreds of more are believed to be still stranded and at risk of hypothermia.